let's take a second to think about New Brunswick. What are some of the things you know about the city? What are maybe some of the assumptions you have about New Brunswick and the different communities that live in it? You can pause the video and take some notes on these questions, and later you can compare that with what you have learned during your community walk. So, New Brunswick can be considered an immigrant town, and at least 32% of the population was born abroad. Almost half of the population, 46.7%, speaks Spanish at home. Hispanic, or Latinos, as I'm going to call them, are the predominant ethnic group in pretty much every part of New Brunswick, except for the areas around the Rutgers campuses. Now, a little history. The first Latinos that settled in the area since the 1950s were from Puerto Rico. Later on, since the 1980s, we had a very large influx of Mexican immigrants, especially from the state of Oaxaca. And then, a little later, our Dominican population started to grow, along with our population from some Central American countries like Honduras. Today, one of the main places we're going to walk through is Friend Street, which is referred to sometimes as Little Oaxaca. And if you feel hungry and stop for a snack in the middle of Friend Street, you are very likely to encounter some specialties from the Mexican state of Oaxaca to eat. And personally, I think food from Oaxaca is incredible, so I recommend that. But this lively commercial area has actually been the center of other immigrant communities that lived in New Brunswick before, like the Hungarian community, for instance. Which is why the first mural you will see when you get to Friend Street is called the heartbeat of the city. This corridor of small businesses you will walk through used to extend almost all the way to the train station, but those small business owners were pushed out in the 90s and early 2000s as the hospitals expanded and some parking lots were built. Another important community that has been historically in New Brunswick, but that was seemingly pushed out by rising rents, is the Black community. In the school district, the Black student population used to be about 6 times larger only 20 years ago. The Black community has been around since the founding of New Brunswick. The Underground Railroad actually ran through here, although sometimes New Brunswick law enforcement would capture people, even free Black people, and sell them to slavery. Now, we are not going to get into the history or the present of the Black community of New Brunswick in this walk, because we have mostly had opportunities to learn from Latine community members and organizers during our time working on this project. But that doesn't mean you can't learn more about the New Brunswick's Black history and present. New Brunswick Free Public Library has a wonderful collection on Black history, and you can also connect with any of the very important community-based organizations that have been in New Brunswick for a very long time. For instance, Mount Zion African Methodist Church was here even before the end of slavery in New Jersey in 1865. So there is a lot to engage with and learn about, and this community walk is just our way to share with you some of what we have learned.